Alright people, what's going on with you? This is another great episode of the Film Review Talk Live. And we have a great show for you today. Let me do a little population here to let people know what's going on, what the title of this is. Real quick, so bear with me for a second. We want people to come in real quick so that we can give you the lowdown on what we're talking about today, right? We came on a little bit late because I was doing my research and things. And, good morning, Stuart Elsie, actor supreme. His wife and himself are two of the great actors from the Black Ice Chronicles, and they do their thing on stage and they do their thing. So we want to say what's going on with them. We have perfect streaming. So if you see a freeze, just refresh your browser and it brings us back. I see Tracy Latrice just chimed in. What's going on with Tracy? Yeah. So we've got an interesting show, right? An interesting show today. So what we're going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about fracking, right? Fracking. For those who don't know what fracking is, I'm going to give a quick definition and we're going to get into it, right? Fracking is the process of injecting liquid at high pressure into subterranean rocks, boreholes, etc., so as to force open existing faults and extract oil or gas. These faults are sometimes called fissures, but for layman's terminology, I'm just going to say faults, right? So there's little cracks in the earth, and they open up these cracks, right? So the everyday definition is fracking fractures in the earth using a water and chemical compound to extract dry fossil deposits to turn into fuel or other petroleum products, right? So oil and gas, basically, or in most cases, fracking is used to get deposits of dry oil, right? What's going on to Tyler Jones, who just chimed in, Scott just chimed in. So it's there to do that. So, let me put up the diagram so people can know even further what we're talking about, right? Here it is. So this is fracking. This is what fracking looks like, right? So this is fracking. So pretty much like I said, they use pressure, they use let's say a dilute of chemical and water to a high pressure, push down to break up what you see here. Let me get closer. Let's see if I can get closer. There we go. Right in here, and they break up the sediment and all that deep down to pull up oil or gas, right? So there's a lot of fracking going on around the country, around the United States, actually around the world, but being that the media only covers the United States of America, this is what we're going to deal with because it pertains to us. But globally, this is happening, right? And so the corporations are doing this, and many times people say corporations, and they talk about these things, and they say, the corporations are doing it. The corporations are doing it. And what are we going to do about the corporations? Okay? So the corporations are doing this to, I believe, make money. But what is strange to figure is, what is the end game of fracking? The corps need people to buy their products. No people, no sales, no money, no profits, right? So The corporations are finding ways to move people from off their land so they can get to fracking, right? To get so-called natural gas or fossils, right? But what is the end game? If you don't have people, if people can't afford to buy your products, how are you going to make money to make profits? This is not something that is easy to figure. Like, what is the end game? What is the end game of fracking out of control and then leaving people basically homeless? Because I thought that this was a capitalist system. A capitalist system is about people exchanging money for goods and services, and that's how the economy grows under the democracy. Now, when you look up democracy, you look that up for yourself. But within the democracy, there's capitalism, and capitalism is thus what makes the whole economic system run under democracy. But if you take away people, that's the main important process of making a democracy, a capitalist system work, is people buying to churn the economy. So if you take the people away, then what happens? So this is it's hard to figure. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back a million or so years, right? Let's go back some. Now this right here, people, is what they call Pangaea, right? Let me make it larger so that we can get into where we're going today. Let me make it larger, okay? Pangaea. This is Pangaea, right? Now, for people who may not know what Pangaea was or is, let me give it to you real quick so that you will know what Pangaea is, right? Pangaea was a supercontinent that existed approximately 335 million years ago, and it began to break apart about 175 million years ago, right? Okay, so contrary to popular biblical belief, the earth is more than just 6,000 years old, right? All of the advancements that were made over millions of years, right? The people coming about millions of years. Now, for people who don't know or haven't done the research to find out what's really happening, the earth is millions, maybe even billions of years old, but millions, let's just stay in millions for a little bit. But it's more than 6,000 years old. It's like millions of years old, right? So this is Pangaea, right? So you can see Afro-America, and then you can see America up here, right? As you read the line. And right here, you can see the face of Africa, right? You can see it, right? Now, this is not to scale. Now, this is very important because to actually tell the truth, Africa would be huge because you can fit like 3 or 4 Americas into Africa. So the way that this map is drawn of Pangaea, it is still incorrect, right? But so as you see, this is Pangaea, right? And then this landmass, these various supercontinents began to break away because of the Earth's tectonic plates, right? So it began to break away because of the Earth's tectonic plates, right? So it broke up and expanded, and the different continents expanded across the world, the globe, across the Atlantic and the Pacific. You know, at first it was called the North Sea, right? But now it's it expanded out. So now it expanded to what you see here, right? This once were all these continents were once all together called, and they were called Pangaea, but then they split apart because of the tectonic plates, right? So the tectonic plates pulled the continents apart. Now again, this map is drawn incorrectly, right? Because Africa would be the biggest continent, because like you said, you see the United States and you see on this side of me, you see the United States. Let me go this way. You see the United States, and then you see up here Canada, and then you see down a little bit further. Let me turn my finger back. I'm gonna turn my finger. You see Mexico. Then you see South America. Yeah, South America over there. You see it right there. America. You see how big America is on this map right here? It doesn't look like it can fit into Africa right here. But one time, but in actuality, 4 or 5 Americas can fit into the continent of Africa. So this is still not correct. It's not drawn correct. Africa is huge. It has all of the latitude, longitude, environments around the world you can find in Africa. That's how big it is. So you can find subterranean culture, you can find rainforests, you can find all that, you can find deserts all the way through, you can find everything around the world there in Africa. That's how big it is. You can find all the different various environments. Now, just getting that out the way to do it. So let me go back one more time and bring up Pangaea so that we can have clarity of what's going on, right? Because geography, I got good grades in geography, so we can go here and we're gonna use it. Okay, so again, this is Pangaea, right? So Pangaea was once one large supercontinent, right? So that's why you can find fossils of various animals that existed between that 335 million year span to 175 million span when it broke apart. You can find fossils that look in the Americas that look like fossils that you find in Africa, right? I just want that to sink in for a minute. I want that to sink in. So you can find these fossils, right? And so there it is, right? So this is Pangaea once it was all together. Then it broke apart because of tectonic plates, right? It broke apart, it spread apart, and it went to this. This is what it looks like now, right? Okay. So what are tectonic plates as we go through this, right? A tectonic plate is a massive, irregular shaped slab of solid rock, generally composed of both continental and oceanic. Pause for me. I just want you to take that in. Let's go over it again. A tectonic plate, also called a lithosphere plate, is a massive, irregularly shaped slab of solid rock, generally composed of both continental and oceanic lithosphere. Right? Plate size can vary greatly from a few hundred to thousands of kilometers across. The Pacific plates are among the largest. Plate thickness also varies greatly, ranging from less than 15 kilometers from young oceanic lithosphere to 200 kilometers or more from ancient continental lithosphere. For example, the interior parts of North and South America. Now, what is lithosphere? right? The center of the Earth is magnetic. It's churning. It's like, you know, like a volcano. How a volcano spits out, how let's take the face. The face is like the Earth, right? And then sometimes you gain pimples. Pimples are like volcanoes, and you pop the pimple and then blood and everything comes out, right? Right. Same thing with lithosphere, right? Lithosphere is volcanic eruptions that happen within the ocean, which then pushes land up. It cools off and then it hardens, and that's how the Earth keeps on creating new land masses or expanding land masses. So when Trump was talking about Greenland a few weeks back and about purchasing Greenland because Greenland is over a hot spot. You know the term on your phone when you say there's a hot spot? They got that from talking about the lithosphere, right? Or Hawaii. Hawaii is over a hot spot. The hot spot is the volcano, shoots it up, it expands the landmass out, and sometimes there's volcanic eruptions underneath the Earth, underneath the ocean, that then expands out, right? Expands out the landmass. That's how it keeps on churning. Now, so the continent, the supercontinent, spread out, right? And they're on these tectonic plates. And why do the tectonic plates move? Because of this volcanic activity that's happening under the Earth, right? So let's look here. You see over here, this is over here by Japan and all that. You'll see these fault lines. The yellow and red are fault lines, right? And this is the Pacific Ocean, right? This is the Pacific Ocean over here. And then you come over here over to this side by California. Let's see if I can get it. Now I can get it so you can see it. There you go. Let me go this way. So you see California. Let me see if I can get it in there. So you see California here, right? So that right there going around, that's the rest of the Pacific Ocean, because the map is out now, like in paper form, so you can see it. So this side is the Pacific, and this side also is the Pacific. But that makes what you call the ring of fire. All right, that's the ring of fire. It cuts across the fault lines of California, swings around, dips into the Pacific Ocean, comes back up, goes around Japan, all of the area over there, Philippines, all those countries. So remember when tsunamis happen. So that is why tsunamis happen, because it's volcanic activity underneath the water, thus causing the ocean to pull back and then push and start the tsunamis, which, you know, killed up a lot of people, right? So that's called the ring of fire, because it's always earthquakes and things happening because the tectonic plates are on the move, right? Tectonic plates. So they're on the move and they're going under each other and they're crashing into each other and going in underneath, thus forcing one tectonic plate to go down into the volcanic atmospheric within the middle of the Earth, thus churning up volcanoes and thus churning up all this, causing what you see when you see a volcano. That's what's happening there, right? So I'm just putting it in layman's terms. You can research this because it is right and correct what I'm telling you right here. So you can go, because I got good grades in geography. But listen, great grades in geography. So this is what's happening, right? So in the middle of all this, so all these different yellow and red lines are fault lines, right? So you see the fault line that's happening on the United States, on the west coast of the United States, which again is part of the ring of fire, right? But This is not a moderate map because there are fault lines happening within the middle of the United States and even within the Ohio Valley now, thus causing earthquakes. Now, let's pause right there. Earthquakes, right? What are earthquakes? We're going to put this all together. Probably see where I'm going, right? An earthquake, also known as quake, tremor, or a tremor, is the shaking of the surface of the earth resulting from the sudden release of energy in the earth's lithosphere that creates seismic waves. Earthquakes can range in size from those that are so weak that they cannot be felt to those violent enough to toss people around and destroy whole cities. The seismoclismic activity of an area is the frequency, type, and size of earthquakes experienced over a period of time. The word tremor is also used for non-earthquake seismic rumbling, right? Okay, so earthquakes. So let's put this all together now. So I went through tectonic plates. You see what I'm saying? See how these definitions come and, bolster the point here. Okay, so you've got what was once Pangaea and is spread out on tectonic plates that are constantly moving. The tectonic plates underwater bang into each other, thus causing one to go under, thus to go down to the earth's where the molten lava, that's the word I'm looking for. The molten lava is, which is radioactive, which then causes that to recreate itself and turn into volcanic material. Thus, volcanoes happen and tsunamis happen because, especially around the Ring of Fire on the Pacific Ocean, because of the fact of the tectonic plates constantly moving and banging into each other, right? Thus, the seismic situations happen and earthquakes happen as well. So volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis can all be explained through the geography of what we're sitting on, the different continents that we're sitting on, and the various fault lines that they're in now. Fracking, again, the process of injecting liquid at a high pressure into subterranean rocks, boreholes, etc., so as to force open existing fissures and extract oil or gas. Okay. So, the Earth is on tectonic plates. They moved, it wasn't something that was just nice. They moved violently to pull apart to make what we see the continents today, right? So this is all pulled apart. This is doing this. This is on tectonic plates, and tectonic plates again, because they bump into each other in the ocean, they cause tsunamis, earthquakes, and volcanoes, right? Because of the molten radioactive work that's happening in the earth. It keeps on returning. It keeps on reforming more land body, right? So you add this with a money-making venture to go places where there are no fault lines. There are certain places that there are no fault lines. This is incorrect too, because there's a major fault line now in Africa, in Ethiopia, that is now starting to form a lake because the land body is pulling away, right? So now it's forming a lake, and they say that the front face of Africa, that many people say looks like the black woman's face, is going to pull away and be a separate island, like down here at Madagascar, right? This is Madagascar right here, right? So it says it's going to pull away, and so these are violent situations. So then you add in a profit-making exercise fracking, of sending chemical and water at high pressure down to fracture the earth to pull up gas and fossil fuel deposits for gas or for other type of products. And you are looking at a recipe for disaster. See, we already got all these fault lines. The fracking is causing new fault lines that weren't usually there, besides the ones that are there. So they're doing this fracking for profit. They're displacing people. If they keep going with it, then the places that they frack will not be able to be inhabitable. And where are the people going? And then what is the end game of it? I'm bringing it back around, right? What is the end game? No people, no sales, no money, no profit, right? Because in a capitalist system, in a democracy, people spending and exchanging money for goods is what keeps the economy going. No people having jobs because they're displaced, because the land bodies that they stand on are inhabitable. No work, no money. What is the end game of these corps that are doing this? Now here's the kicker. Here's the kicker, artists. These are the same people who perpetuate to people who are evangelical and other religious non-denominations or denominations, or whichever way that you want to believe that a person is, or wherever you believe you are. These are the same people who they don't believe in dinosaurs. The earth is only 6,000 years old, but they use fossil fuels to drive cars to church, work, the store, social events, etc. Go figure that. But they don't believe in the dinosaurs, and they believe that the earth is only 6,000 years old. But yet you're using fossil fuel to drive your car. Go figure that. So let's wrap this around here, because we're just here to throw it out there. You know, there's no solution. I have no solution, but I'm just putting the pieces together for you, right? So let's go over it again. The earth was once the earth's continents, because the earth is the globe and it's been what it is, but it's based on, it has tectonic plates. Okay, so the earth was once Pangaea, right? The continents were once Pangaea. You see Afro-America here, you see Euro up here, right? And so then as the tectonic plates, because of the volcanic activity under the earth, the radioactivity, the molten lava, they began to pull apart, thus rip the various continents from a supercontinent into various continents, right? So there we are with that. So now it's various continents, right? And you see that the yellow and red lines, yellow on the outside, red lines on the inside, are fault lines in the earth. And these are not the actual, this is an older map, so there are fault lines, like I said, going through Ethiopia, and then up here in Ohio, or to get to it, there up here in Ohio Valley, there are fault lines now, and there's fault lines going all through the United States. And now up here, coming through the coldest part of Canada and coming down, they want to send a pipeline all the way down to the United States to the Gulf of Mexico, and they want to drill and frack to bring up this oil, which this area right here, once you come down to Canada and you come down right here, this is like the bread basket where all of the wheat and grain for breads and stuff were grown in the United States. That's where most of the buffalo were before they killed off a lot of the buffalo. It's a fertile ground still in the United States because of its latitude and longitude. You have to learn about latitudes and longitudes because up here is the northern hemisphere, down here is the southern hemisphere, and when it's summertime in the northern hemisphere, it's wintertime in the southern hemisphere, and when it's wintertime, Christmas time in the northern hemisphere, it's summertime in the southern hemisphere. Alright? Alright, so it's 0, 10, that goes all the way. No, 0, 90, 70, 80, 70, all the way up to the coldest climates that gets down to the reverse 0. And the same up here, it goes up to the coldest climates. The higher you go up in longitude lines, the colder it gets. The higher you get up in elevation, the colder it gets, right? So that's some quick geography for you, so that we can put some science into what we're doing here, so it won't be these mysteries that are being put across to the people, right? So look, this is what's happening, right? So you have these fault lines, right? Because it was once penetrating the fault lines, and they're constantly moving and they're constantly pulling apart. Like they say, in the next, California may dip off. Let's see how I can move so you can see it. California may dip off and float up to Seattle, and it will become an island because of the San Andreas fault line. And the fault line is because the tectonic plates are hitting and going down and recreating the land body which is under the ocean, which is pulling apart the land body that's on the tectonic plates. And so that's clear. So then you add in the profit motive in places where there is oil and there aren't any fissures, and you purposely make a fissure or a fault. You're drilling down to extract this, leaving this wide open, thus causing it to be a fault line, which allows volcanic activity, which allows the tectonic plates to pull apart. There it is in a nutshell, right there. So not only do tectonic plates, the movement of tectonic plates, make sure you refresh your screen here. Not only does the movement of tectonic plates, right, cause tsunamis, they also cause earthquakes, and it causes volcanoes. So if you're adding fracking into it, then in those areas you have a chance, if it's around a large land body like the Pacific or the Atlantic Ocean, which is the Atlantic Ocean is right here. You see right here from America over to Africa, and you see this is where slave ships travel through. As we're going through the map, and they travel through, South America, all up here. Somewhere in here is the Bahamas, all that, and Haiti, and then come up here in the United States. And then somewhere in Virginia, the first 20 slaves were dropped off right. So we don't need to go any further than that. But just to see the map, you have to know where you're living, what's happening. So you put the profit motive in, and what is the end game to this profit motive? What is the end game? No people, no sales, no money, no profit. So what are these corporations doing? Or are they not thinking, or have they not just simply taken a simple, they didn't take geography seriously when they were in high school, or they just didn't take geography period? What is the end game? So that's it, people. This is what we wanted to talk about today. Go back, watch it again, research it, look it up yourself. You'll see what's happening. And so that's it for right now. We're gonna get out of here. We appreciate you watching. We put it there so that it could be simple, put it in layman's terms. But this is what's happening. And when you look at this globe, or when you look at the map here, this is what's happening. This isn't the modern map because there's a lot of fracking going on. A lot of oil deposits up here. Where's that at? Over here. Russia. Over here. Let's get my hand there. I'm not a weather person, so we gotta get the hand movement right. Okay, over here in Russia and things like that. A lot of oil deposits, so they're gonna be fracking there. So it's really ridiculous. But what do they care? It's like in 50 years, they figure they'll be gone anyway, and then it leaves the people who are going to still be here to have to deal with it. So that's it, people. In closing, that's what we talked about today, is Pangaea, fracking, tectonic plates, earthquakes, tsunamis, all that. So that's it, and we will see you next time on the Film Review Talk Live, where we talk things that people don't really want to talk about. But guess what? We do.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made the curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart, crazy.